Hi guys, what's going on? And welcome back to an episode of Conqueror's Blade. So today I just kind of wanted to touch on the pre-season update stuff. I've been playing it for a couple of days now, and I just kind of wanted to give my opinion on how I'm finding things actually sort of in game, and some of the things that changed that I like, some of the things that I changed that I kind of dislike, and sort of compare them a little bit. So if you actually logged into this yourself, I think you'll have found an awful lot of change, certainly in terms of the feel of the game. I found it surprisingly confusing at first. You know, when you play a game for so long, and I've been playing this since the closed beta, and they have one sort of UI style, and then it changes quite drastically, everything starts to feel quite different. I find it quite hard to find things quickly in my inventory or my wagon, because all the different UI icons are all kind of different colours. You know, you go to your barracks, everyone's kind of in a different place to what you're used to. It makes it quite hard to find units when you want to them quickly and things like that. And even things like the unit tree, even though principally it's the same, it's just a little bit strange initially, at least at the start. But over the past couple of days, the more I've played it, I am starting to get used to it a little bit now. It's starting to seem a little bit easier and a little bit less sort of intimidating, as it were. So, yeah, the more I play, I think the easier it's going to get in terms of the interface. But I did find it to be pretty intimidating at first, and some of the bits I wasn't really a huge fan of in terms of the changes. I kind of found it a bit confusing. One thing I really didn't like was the way on the barracks, when you selected the units, like it's really replacing all your stats. You have to go to veterancy, and then you have to click over here just to get your attributes. I wish this was kind of more easily accessible, because I'd kind of like to be able to use this a little bit easier and a little bit better, because I find that kind of quite limiting. But that's basically it. Outside of the game, it's just kind of UI changes. Even things like the map has changed. I do like the map changes, the way the colours they've done them. It's a lot easier to work out, a lot easier to see than it was before. So that's kind of quite a nice change. But I wanted to hop into a battle now, and then we'll kind of see some of the changes in there, because there's quite a few graphical UI changes, and the way that heroes behave just in battle have changed quite a bit as well. So we are loading into a siege battle on Harbour City. I'm just going to put my archers down here on the supply board. I'm going to get a little bit of range up on the walls, hopefully, from here. A lot of these maps have changed kind of a little bit in terms of their layout, so sometimes it takes a little bit of a while to get used to them, because some of them have got some pretty subtle changes. They weren't always necessarily really made particularly clear in the patch notes, and yeah, some of them kind of keep catching me out of it, where things have changed where I'm not kind of expecting it to change. But we'll get there. We'll get the hang of it. So, why do I feel things are kind of different? I doubt I can hit them from there. I doubt I can shoot over the wall. No, not even close. So yeah, quite a bit of stuff changed. I think heroes feel quite different now, in my opinion, to what they used to feel like in the previous patch. Heroes feel a lot weaker, in my opinion. Particularly to range stuff, they seem to go down really quite fast. Beat the crap out of each other with these guys. So yes, you feel quite weak. At least that's one of my big findings is the weakness element that you now kind of feel. They're way too close there. There, so I can get a better angle on the wall. And because of that, yeah, I feel like range is becoming a much more dominant force in the game than it ever has been before. So that's kind of one of those changes that I think I didn't really expect from the patch. Yeah, at least you got cut down. They still get caught in a bad position. You know, it's kind of tough for them to deal a lot. But yeah, I find getting a headshot by longbows a lot more than I used to before. So I'm finding the damage output there to be quite a lot higher, I think. And I think that's because of this effect to armor, which seems to have been generally degraded the strength of armor and the ability of heroes to absorb damage. I feel like I'm currently wearing guardsman. I know you can't see it because I've got a Templar skin on, but I'm currently wearing guardsman armor, and I don't know, I feel like it's certainly not as effective as it used to be. Although it did undergo some changes in the last patch, kind of how it works. It did get sort of a bit of a nerf, so it's perhaps not that unsurprising. But yeah, kind of is a little bit disappointing that I feel like a lot of the melee heroes are kind of a little bit weaker than they were, and ranged feels kind of quite a lot buffed. But sort of on a more positive side to that, I think it makes units feel stronger. So normal units, things, you know, just a sword militia, something like that. You know, it's not quite such an easy kill as it used to be. That combined with the fact that there was obviously the nerf to general unit damage a while ago as well. And yeah, things kind of feel quite a bit different in that regard. And quite a bit weaker than what they used to be. So it looks like we've got some guys coming up here on the siege tower. It's going to be probably a fair old push here, so I'm going to bring my archers up a little bit, see if we can get some shots in from this side. See if they're capable of getting themselves up here. Because we've knocked that enemy siege tower down there, so hopefully they're not going to make too much progress there. He's just normal spearmen. Yeah. I'm probably going to start getting hit by that archer though. We should get a good amount of damage in here. Ooh, trebuchet. That's dangerous close. Ah! Ah! Trebuchet hits. Oh wow, that javelin volley. I haven't actually tried it out myself. I've heard from people that javelins have had kind of a significant buff. That you can kind of control their attack direction a lot more now. You see now I'm being peppered by this longbow. See how quickly my health is going down. I'm bleeding still. I had not full health, but I was not a million miles off full health right at the start of that engagement. And I didn't really lose that down to melee units. That was mostly down to that longbow up on the top. Once you get targeted, the damage that you start to receive it racks up seriously quite fast. I've still got 35 seconds on a cooldown. And with the death of that allied hero, things aren't looking so good here actually. Try and take down this short sword. Again, I'm going to get overwhelmed in a minute. Yeah, pull back, pull back, pull back. I want to live! I've got 15 seconds. Okay, now we're in trouble. Pull those guys back before we get hammered. Let's pull them back to the supply point. And then, I need to pull back myself because I'm getting peppered by that longbow. Say, the amount of damage that longbow's ranged units heroes now put out is really quite high, or quite a lot higher than it ever has been before. Right, let's have a look. I'm being shot at by some archers. Our guy's now back on the supply point. I wonder if I can get some shots in on these guys down here from their position over there. May well be able to. A bit of a showdown with the poleaxe. Poleaxe still feels like a pretty effective weapon. Still a pretty dominant force. Goodness, I'm not going to deal with that lot though. Unit of palace guards, not going to be much fun. Not going to be much fun at all. So let's just keep pulling back down here. We can control our guys from here. Being peppered again by the enemy ranged units. Hopefully we can get some shots in the back, maybe as these guys from down here. Oh, good cav charge. Very good cav charge. Ah, he got away. I got caught up on a unit. Damn. Why did I do that? Stupid. Help me, archers. We should be able to shoot from here. Yes, I can. Cool. Let's see if I can get some range damage in from there. Can they hit from that direction? Yes, they can. Whether they can do much damage, I don't know. I've still got 27-second cooldown on my... Oh, there's a glaive there as well. Ah! I'll get stuck into that fight there. So, yeah, I'm getting slightly distracted here. So back to my original point, which was, I feel like the heroes have changed balancing quite a lot more than just what has been strictly reported in terms of patch notes. And that's kind of quite a change. It's not necessarily for the worse, but it's certainly for the different, and it feels different to what it was. Like, that is definitely notably different. Come on, guys. Oh, I was getting hammered by that range. You can see how much damage I take from those range units so fast. Which, obviously, if you're a ranged player, this is certainly going to feel like a massively positive change for you. Probably feel like that you've not been able to make that bigger an impact in battles before, and you certainly will be feeling like you do now because the extra damage makes it feel significantly improved. Right, so let's pull these archers around here. So then, obviously, aside from that, is obviously just a huge plethora of UI changes. You know, from things at the bottom, which all look and feel different. And even though things are kind of broadly in the same place, kind of where you expect, things do move around. The chat's up here now, your mini-map is down here. It's still different, and it can be a little bit confusing at first. Well, at least I find it to be, but maybe I'm just a bit slow at picking up on these sort of things. But yeah, changes a little bit confusing at first, but by and large, it does feel like an improvement, I think, once you start to get the hang of it, once you start to get used to where everything is. Except that some things kind of aren't quite in the same place as they were before, but, you know, it's still generally a good step in the right direction, I think. No way I'm probably going to be able to hit them there, but we'll have a go. Oh, we might, we might. Are we getting any arrows in? Couple of arrows in there. Prefecture's having a bit of a hard time with it. Though the prefecture's actually kind of got a bit of a nerf, a bit of a hidden nerf actually, because they didn't get reported on any of their ammo losses, but if you look, I've looked in detail at some of their veterancy bonuses, and you'll kind of notice that their damage, their arrow rain damage bonus, so it used to be 50%, it's now down to like 16%, so it's quite a nerf actually to the amount of damage potential they have in those sort of situations. Let's pull them around here, see if I can get a sneaky little arrow rain off. Arrow rain, still a lot of fun though. You can kind of get an idea of the rate of fire volley. Not quite as fast as they were, but still pretty darn fast. And still pretty damaging against lightly armoured units. So they're still not to be sniffed at. See, I'm running a bit low on troop numbers here at the moment. We've kind of been slowly diminished over this past bit. I think we're going to have to pull back here, because we're going to start getting shot. Trying to fight like a staged retreat. That short bow is just doing an excellent job of putting down a base of fire, almost like an archer unit. Try and get some of those archers at the back. Still get their fire arrows, which is nice. Getting a good few kills now and then down at the back. Ow! Got concussed by that short bow user. I think that unit is, to be honest, is about dead now. I think I'll accept that they've done their duty. They've died valiantly trying to protect me, but they've had their day. Go and get a fresh unit for ourselves and get back into the fight. We've still got 6 minutes to try and hold the central point. Which is not going to be super easy, I shouldn't have thought. At least we still own this supply point. We've had a good number of kills. We get these the total kill counts now, which is quite nice. You see total enemy deaths, total your deaths, and then total remaining units as well. I am a fan of that. I do quite like how that looks. It's one thing I kind of always wish we had before, when you get to see the amount of heroes that have been killed and they're currently waiting to spawn back in. And their total heroes, you know, etc, etc. So, nice! I like that little UI change. That's one thing that I think is definitely a positive there. Right, let's get our spear sergeants moving. Could be a bit of an expensive game if this goes badly wrong. Let's just form up a little wall here for now. Are they going to be pushing this way? Try and get you down if you're going to go that far forwards. Just seems a rash move on your part. And yes, an error it was. Okay, let's bring our spear sergeants around, start to get this wall up. We're getting a little bit back on the offensive by the looks of things. Another guy down. One of our spear sergeants. What are we coming up against? Just archers mostly. I think we're just going to push this, to be fair. Getting a bit of a risk here in terms of health loss, but the enemy's pretty low on health. Fighting against a shield wall. Oh, starting to take some losses here on our spear sergeant front. How's my own health doing? Not so bad so far. We're cutting through, keeping the pressure on. Oh, I honestly didn't even notice we were being capped. Okay, that was pretty poor. Wow. Okay, that was pretty stupid. I'll go on you. I didn't even realise we were being capped. I'm sure some of you were probably shouting at the camera beforehand. So then we get to the analysis screen at the end. Well, I can't believe I did that. And then you'll see quite a lot's changed here. One, it presents all the info in kind of a nicer little menu. You know, of course, you get your bronze, honor, and unit experience and hero experience, etc., etc. It tells you your star unit. Now, this is a really important one. You'll see that these prefecture archers, which are actually max level at level 16, no longer gain any experience, and all the experience instead gets put onto the other units, which you can't actually very easily see. But for example, the spear sergeants will have got the full, 16,000 or whatever it is. But there doesn't get any wasted on the prefecture archers because they're already elited, so it doesn't happen for them, which is definitely a nice change. I like the fact they've adjusted that, because wasting experience on fully upgraded units is kind of annoying from the start, so it's kind of a little bit of a frustration. Other than that, most of the stuff hasn't really changed massively. Team stats is normal. Everyone gets a grade now based on their performance. So, for example, this guy down here did nothing, so we got a D+. And then you can see based on how much you do, like 13 troop kills and 1 artillery destroyed, gives you a rank C because you've not really contributed a lot to the battle there. Then as you move up, we got 115 troop kills, 1 hero kill, and a couple of assists, and you get to an A. But if you want to be doing more, 5 hero kills and extra troop kills and stuff, is kind of worth more. It's based on your contribution, which also factors in things like defending points and getting knocked down, destroying artillery, that sort of thing. All helps to contribute to the overall battle. Then you get this nice little post-battle analysis. I do kind of like it because you kind of see the enemy kills. You see where your units ended up getting killed. You see took some losses around here. Look, you can see it kind of maps that nicely onto the little thing. I think we can probably show, yeah, just where we took losses, just where your allies took losses. Wow, plenty of losses. And then you can do hero and unit kills. It's quite a nice little post-battle analysis thing that you can play around with and stuff if you want to. Kind of makes it for a little bit of fun. So yeah, that's really all I've got for you. I just kind of wanted to point out how some of these UI stuff has changed and kind of some of the main feelings that you get initially. Definitely feel heroes are weaker in this patch following than compared to what we were in the previous one. I think that's probably the most notable feeling of difference that isn't really easily reported in the patch notes. And of course beyond that, it's just the UI, which feels vastly different. Pretty intimidating at first, but I think once you get your head around where everything is again, it actually starts to feel quite nice. And ultimately I like it, despite initially not really liking it. So anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully sort of useful. I don't know how it would be useful, but hopefully informative. At least that's my take on it so far. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is there anything that you specifically hate that you didn't think you would, or something you really quite like that you didn't think you would? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel for a load more Conqueror's Blade content. And I shall see you guys all on the next video.